Welcome, friends. I'm so glad that you're here. So today I have with me a winter jacket, LL Bean. As you can see, looks like has feather lining, and there is a rip or a tear, a cut, whatever you want to call it, right here in the fabric, among in between those quilted squares, and one of the questions that I get asked, obviously, is how would you fix that? So what I do is I'll actually take from the pocket, because the fabric from the pocket can go and cover over that square. And the reason I do that is because the fabric from the pocket matches exactly. And to find fabric that would be an exact match would be extremely hard. So very, very carefully snipping out this fabric out of the pocket. And then I'm just going to go in later and put a patch in the pocket with a different lining, because of course we all know that you don't have to match the pocket fabric, and because nobody's going to see it. You just have it there for your keys and your tissues, etc. So I'm just very, very carefully cutting out a piece that is definitely bigger than the square that I need, so that I'll be able to turn it under, etc. But it is a little nerve-wracking cutting this out of the pocket, because you can't turn it inside out. This particular pocket was actually stitched in all the way through to the zipper, so that it was hard to you couldn't just plain pull it out. So as I measure that before I finish, I wanted to make sure that it was big enough, because certainly I don't want to cut a piece too small and then have to go in and use the other pocket on the other side. I'm just finishing that up and making it look like a similar rectangle. And I just want to remind you, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy hearing these tips and tricks to help you mend, repair your own clothing and keep them in your wardrobe. So here I'm taking my piece and I'm going to go ahead and put it over the patch. So I fold it, because you don't want the raw edges to be visible. And I just fold one edge at a time, and then very carefully pin it in place. So I actually am going to go around and do this on all the sides of my rectangle, and I am making it exactly the size of where the stitching already was, because I'm trying to mimic that, so that when it is slip stitched together, that it'll be relatively unnoticeable to the untrained eye that it was a piece added on top. And it does take a little bit of effort to smooth out the edges and when you turn them under. So you'll see me here fumbling with them just a little bit. And I'll just keep going around and pinning all of these down. And of course, I don't want to pin the bottom of the jacket, or I should say the back of the jacket. So that's why I keep putting my hand underneath to make sure that I'm lifting it off, so that I'm only pinning that front side of the jacket, and really just getting those corners to match up as much as I can. So the corners of my new patch to meet the actual quilted corner of the square here, so that it looks really finished and exactly like the original. And now I'm coming down to just having this one side left to turn under, and it actually looks like it's more than I needed. So I'm just going to trim off a little bit. I want about 1/2 inch on either side around. And so, but not enough to have excessive bulk. So that's why I trimmed off that little piece, and then just again tucking it down in. Now that this patch is fully pinned, I'm just going to go ahead and sew it on. So I use what I would consider like a slip stitch method, where I'm hiding the stitches in. So you're really burying your thread on the underneath and going into the edge, and then just digging down into the main layer of the coat, coming up and then going through the fold of your patch, that edge fold, as I would call that. A slip stitch, again, I don't do a ton of hand sewing, so maybe if you are specifically a hand sewer, maybe you have a different term for that, but I will then just go all the way around the outside, and the stitches that I'm doing will be pretty much imperceptible to the naked eye, so to speak, unless you're really, really looking for them. So believe it or not, this is the coat that had that patch in it, the place where it was cut through. So this is the patched seam, or the patch on it. If you look really closely, you can tell, but from a distance, not at all. And then right here, this little part, I did just briefly put a couple of stitches through. So I also wanted to show that this is the pocket that was repaired. You can see it looks a little bit different, but not that much. It's actually very, very similar to the original pocket that it had. So that's a little tip on how to repair a coat that has whatever you want to call it, a cut or a tear in the outer shell of the coat, especially if it was one of these that has feathers and has these like quilted square kind of things, kind of look. That's a great way to patch it and have it look really good, and almost as if there was never a patch in it at all. Thank you for watching. You can shop tutorials and classes on my website, naomifeda.net. Be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, may God sow his love into your heart today.